Okay, so we'll start the webinar now. So welcome again, everybody. Let me share my screen quickly here. So EzInsights AI is basically a personal data assistant that allows business users and data analyst community to um, work with the data, whether the data is residing in any files or any databases or any other format. The idea is to use the data assistant to help you with loading the data quickly or connecting to the data sources quickly, and then ask questions using Gen AI, or also provide more advanced analysis using some of the features that we have, and share that information and insight with other users within your organization. So what is a key differentiation between EzInsights AI versus some of the other tools that are there in the marketplace, like Power BI or Click or Tableau? There are a couple of key differences. One is EzInsights AI is a no-code based platform. That means as a user, you don't need to use any programming languages or build any expressions or write any expressions or queries. Uh, Majority of the work is done by the tool itself. And second most important part is you can build your dashboards or you can build your reports within EzInsights across multiple data sets. So what does it mean is you can build a chart from one data set, let's say sales data set, and then you can add another chart to your dashboard from, let's say, marketing data set, which is totally different. So this is one way where you can mash up different analysis from different data sources or databases into one single dashboard or report, and then it can be shared with other users. The third important differentiation aspect that we have in EzInsights is it uses the latest Gen AI capabilities. So not only it allows you to ask questions like a chat bot where you can ask questions to the data and get responses, but it can also help you to generate SQL queries on your database. So a lot of times you may know how to write SQL queries, but you may not know exactly which joins to do, or you may know some aspects of your database, but not all of it. So the data assistant will allow you to write SQL queries, right? You can of course go and modify the queries if something is wrong, but it will generate the queries for you. Again, this generates the queries across multiple different databases like Snowflake, Single Store, Azure, SQL database, Oracle database, or many more. Um, and then also you can run machine learning algorithms using EzInsights AI. So you don't need to really know the complexities of writing those algorithms, but you can basically ask questions and prompt the data assistant, EzInsights data assistant, to write machine learning algorithms and run for it, and also provide you comparative analysis of different algorithms that you can run. So these are the three different aspects that we are trying to solve. And at a high level, what are the key features? So talk to your data and get answers. That is one of the most important aspect of what this platform provides to business users. Also, most of the time, as we know in the data world, we see data quality, or quality of the transformation of the data. There is a lot of transformation that needs to be done before data can be presented to business users or can be used by business users for their insights. So one of the key aspect of data profiling, identifying the key influencers in your data. Some of these are incorporated in the EzInsights AI platform. So it allows you as a business user, as a developer, as a data analyst, to see what kind of data you're working with. Is the data good enough to build the dashboards or reports or generate insights? And that's one of the key things that we look at. Also, it creates narratives on your data. So smart narratives on the data, basically providing textual context. So, providing the growth trend, providing the highs and lows, providing kind of a statistical analysis on the data set. So some of these smart narratives on your data also can be provided and can be used into you presentations, discussions, insights, and various other collaborative ways. Um, and then we will look at different use cases or different personas that can be created where if you are working with the finance data or marketing data or sales data or procurement data or customer support data, you can ask relevant prompts. So the EzInsights AI platform provides you predefined, pre-specific prompts which can be configured further while deploying the solution, where you can generate prompts which are specific to your data set, specific to this function that you're performing or a kind of analysis you are performing. And then there are various other aspects of drill down and heat maps and with the various advanced pivot functionalities within the solution as well. So as we move along, we'll start going by to the solution and look at each of these features in a little bit more detail. And hopefully 15 minutes prior to the end of webinar, as Prashant mentioned, we'll have question answer Q&A session. So anybody who wants have any questions, we'll try to answer those questions. And if we can't get to all of the questions, then we'll try and reach out to you offline so that we can answer those questions for you as well. So let's dwell into the actual solution. So this is the EzInsights AI platform. This is the login screen. We have a very tight role-based security and access framework that is defined within the solution. So every user who logs in will have its own specific role, specific access to either the dashboards, reports that they create, or some other users share within their ecosystem, or also the kind of databases or connections that they will have. So I'm going to start logging in. There are different types of users. So I've logged in as a power user. We also have an admin user. We also have a support user and business user or a discovery user who will have limited functionality in terms of what data they will access and how they will access. As soon as you log into EzInsights, you will see kind of a cards or different dashboards that are created by you. So kind of your own workspace. And also you'll see a shared workspace. So if any dashboards are shared by other users with you. So these are the two areas. So my card section and the shared card section, as you can see. Now, if you open any of these dashboard, let me open one of them. So when you open this card, you will see different cards. You'll see some KPI cards, and you will also see some charts that are being added here. As I had mentioned earlier, that each of these cards or charts can be added by using different data sources or databases or data sets. So even though you are building one dashboard, the data can come from multiple data sources. So that's one of the big differentiation against working with Click or Power BI or Tableau or some of these tools that are out there in the market. The other differentiation is we have options where if you want to embed these charts into your website or any third-party applications that you have, you can use this embedding option, and you can embed the charts. Not only you can embed the charts, but you can also embed the narratives on the chart. And let me show you quickly how the narratives will look like. So I'll go back, and if you click on this bulb icon, and this is where the narratives are created. So these are generated automatically by EzInsights AI platform. We are using high-end machine learning, natural language libraries, and AI to generate these narratives on the data. So these are generated based on the data set that you select. So and it provides you high level summary of what the data looks like, what is the highest contributor, and what is your typical average, or which are the lowest, and then the interrelationship between your data that you are looking at. Same way, if I go down and if I want to look at narratives of this data, it gives you the narratives of that data. So again, this is a completely generated in real time. So there is no predefined way of these narratives are being created. Let's look at what data sources you can connect and what data you can bring in. So these are the different data sources, and obviously there are many more. I have access to only these data sources, but if you have any specific data source that you want to connect, especially if there is a cloud data source or unstructured data like JSON or something, which can also be connected. And when you connect to a specific data source, it will allow you to look at what data source you're connecting, how many columns you're bringing in, number of rows and records and things like that. So this is a basic information about the data source. But as I had mentioned earlier, we do a very advanced level of data profiling. So let me go and show you an example of what the data profiling means. I'm going to select a data set here. So as and when you bring the data set within EzInsights AI platform, it will identify the data elements in terms of what columns, what fields. It will automatically identify with a dimension or a measure, or a date column, and then you can basically look at uh, a data profiling. Let me select this one. A data profiling option where it will generate an overview of your data. So you can look at different columns and it will show you the analysis of how your data is. It will also generate some alerts. So in terms of if there are any null values, there are any duplicate values, or there is any high correlation and things like that. So depending upon your data set to data set, it will provide you that kind of analysis as well. Um, and then you can also drill down further into more details where it can show you more statistical information, again, depending upon the nature of the column that you selected, whether it's a categorical variable, so identifies whether the data is more categorical variable versus if it's a numeric data like sales, for example. It will show you histogram and the distribution of the data as well as the statistical data analysis of your numerical data sets. Not only it does that, it also provides your extreme outliers, so basically your minimum and maximum values and frequency of those values. So there's a lot more that you can see that is done within the platform. Again, this is all generated automatically. This helps both the business users and the IT data analyst team, IT organization, data scientists, who are all looking at this data. So this is similar to what Microsoft Fabric concept is in terms of everybody's looking at the same data set, everybody's using the same data across, whether it is doing reporting, dashboarding, or more advanced analysis, machine learning, or you are looking at Gen AI. So it's the same concept. What we have implemented within EzInsights AI is the underlying data set is the same data set, but you are able to look at these data from different perspective, and the platform provides you a lot more visibility into your data set so that it helps everybody in the organization to if there are problems in the data set, and I'll show you some examples of that as well very quickly, you can go and fix the data from the source or whether it's in your data warehouse or data mart, so that the data can again be improved upon and then can give the right information to everybody. And there are some other critical areas where we also provide all the unique information in the dimension values, so you can search for what kind of unique values you are seeing in the data set. I mentioned about influential and rank. So the platform allows you to identify key influencers in your data set. You can add, modify these influencers. So for example, I want to add here deal size, which is an influencer, or I want to add a state as an influencer. So I can add as a user, and once I add this influencer, it updates the data profiling report based on that influencers that you added. So this is a continuous process, right? It's a continuous process, and then it provides you now. So we had 3 alerts on this data set when I showed you just now. Now I have 6 alerts because I added few more variables. So I have now deal size is highly overall correlated to sales and things like that. So this is the way. It's a continuous improvement process driven by the platform. But one of the things that very critical to us is we are allowing users to interact with this data without really writing any programs or code. So the platform does majority of the heavy lifting, whereas the critical aspect of data analysis is where business users or data analyst team or developers can contribute overall. We also have a similar way in data profiling. So I'm just going to go quickly and show you that example, the same data set. Um, so when I look at this data set that we were looking at it, and this is where, so every column that you're bringing in, the profiling function helps you to look at this data and provides you analysis of that data. So if I keep going, every column I can see the distribution, for example, product line. So when I look at this data set, and as a business user, you understand your business very well, or a data analyst, it tells you that 34% of my sales is for classic cars, right? And that kind of validates the assumption that you will know about your business, that typically we sell more classic cars versus vintage cars, right? So it validates the assumption that your data is directionally correct and the transactions are showing what you're supposed to see, right? At the same time, if there are any empty values somewhere, so for example, you see empty values in the state. So now if I'm going to use this column in any of my analysis or reports or dashboards, I will have a problem because 52% of my values are empty or null. So this is where IT and data teams and data governance team and the business users, they can all collaborate, they can work together and figure out, is there a problem that happened with the data refresh, or this is something that is happening from the source, and they can go and identify the problem and fix it so that when next time data refresh happens, these issues can be taken care of and you will have the proper data within the data sets. The advantage of this platform is, since everybody is working on the same data, underlying data source, it is stored in the same way in one place, which is what the Fabric concept is. So you're working on one data source stored at one place and everybody's basically using it. And that's where it is fixed once and use it multiple times. So that's really the concept that everybody's trying to implement in the data world. And I think this is going to create a very good way to help everybody to fix the problems quickly as it comes. So let's look at some of the other advanced features. So I will start with so we have three different types of bot capabilities within the EzInsights AI platform. We are using OpenAI bot at this moment. If there are other different language models that needs to be utilized, we can always configure them, whether it's Llama, whether it's Gemini, whether it's Mistral or Azure OpenAI or Bedrock. So the platform is independent. We can configure any large language model that needs to be incorporated. The entire platform can be deployed within any of the environment the client has. So if you are using AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, or if you want to put it on your own compute power within your own hardware, and we can deploy it that way. But we also have a cloud option where you can subscribe to our platform and connect to your data sources. So let me start with the SQL query bot. So this is one of the most widely used bot that we feel organizations will use. So one of the things that we have in this is there are different data sources or databases that you can connect. But at the same time, let's say you have a different data marts or data warehouses within your database. So even though it is a SQL database, you may have multiple data marts. So I have sales data mart, I have a patient data mart, I have a surgery data mart. Now these are three different distinct data sets. So the way we do is our team at Easy Data Munch will help you to train an AI model on these of each different data sets. Once we train the data model, we'll test the accuracy of these data AI model. And then once we deploy it as a user, again, there is a role-based security. So I have access to these three models, but there may be more models which I may not have access to. So let's say I'm going to select the sales model. Once I connect to the sales model, automatically it will show me a prompt where I can ask a question to my database, or it will also show me suggested questions based on history of questions typically other users have asked on this database, also based on the query history that has run on this database, right? So it will also pull up the history queries that are run on this database as well. So let me ask a simple question right now. What is the total sales by product category? Now, this is a very simple question when you typically consider a sales data set, but look at the complexity behind the scene. So if you look at the query itself, there are multiple joins. Now, this is where it gets beneficial to business users and also to data analyst teams, especially if you're new to the organization or you haven't really spent time with this database itself or data set. You need to know how many joins you need to make and what columns to use for the joins and things like that. So even a simple question like what is the total sales by product category can involve a complex query like this. And this is where we are able to help our customers, where we are able to train the AI model to generate these kind of queries. And once the query is generated, you can say the query is correct. Now, this option may not be available to business users, or you can turn it off. You can go and turn it off, this show SQL option, and it won't show you the SQL option or things like that. And you can just run the query and it will run the query for you and create, not only run the query, but also create a table which you can download, or you can also see an interactive chart which you can use. So this is the way we are able to enhance the productivity of data analyst team, the business users, the IT team, because a lot of times when developers really build database or data marts, they don't know how to test it, or sometimes they don't know the what kind of questions or queries the business wants to run against the tables and the data mart structures that they've designed. This is a very good way because they will have a history of every question that is being run on this data set by business, and they can use any of these questions. So like, for example, I have a follow-up question generated. This is all stored within the framework, or they can just come here and say, show me the suggested questions which were run by the business in the past, and I can click on any of these questions and it will be able to run that against their database. So this is one example. Let's look at example of Snowflake. So now we have a Snowflake cloud instance. We have a model that is trained on it. So I'm going to first connect to the model. It is connected now, and it's going to. So if I click on the suggested questions now these are all the questions that business has run. Let's say, for example, I'm adding 5 more columns into orders fact table, right? As a developer or as a data analyst, I want to understand how it's. I can pick up any of these questions that were asked by the business in the past, and I can run that question and see what kind of query it generates and whether this query is going to run correctly. So in this example, if I say run the query, I'm going to get an error most likely. This is the error because there is an issue with this query. Also, this query can be generated or there is an issue with the data set itself. So I have an option to go and say I want to rectify this query because I forgot to add my column, put the prefix in my column. So I can go and update that and I can rerun this query and make sure the query runs correctly. So this is the way as a business analyst, as a data analyst, as a developer, you are able to get 80-90% of what kind of query or what kind of joins you need to run. But at the same time, you have an ability to not only correct the query that you need to run, but also at the same time, now you are training the AI model. So every time you correct something and you run it and make it useful, AI model is taking this data as a training data. It is adding to its training data set. So next time when the same question is asked, when the same query is asked, it is able to use this information to generate the query again. So this was our query bot, text to SQL bot. It's one of the most widely sought after feature. I think a lot of organizations are working to get something like this, and this is a feature that we have made available. We are able to help clients build these kind of models pretty quickly. In a matter of 2 to 4 weeks, we can generate and create a model and train a model which can be used across a complex data warehouse or data mart. So if you have something like that, we can certainly, our team can assist, and we can talk about it offline. Let me go back to the other bots that we have, which as a user you can use. So we have something called a data bot. Now, the data bot's predominant function, the way we have designed it or envision is it, a lot of times we have executives in an organization who will come and say, what was my sales strength for last year, or what was my growth products for last year. So when an executive comes and asks those questions, usually they are only looking for answers. They are not looking at real analysis of it. They're just looking for base information to understand what happened, right, or why it happened. So and usually when they ask these questions, most of the time, there is only one or two people within an organization who knows more about the data, and you have to go back to that person and let that person do their analysis and come back with answers. So usually this process takes anywhere between a day to 5 days, and there is multiple email chains and various other ways that this whole process goes through, right? What we are trying to do is here is, can I ask these questions to the AI, because AI already knows this data. This data is something, this is organization specific data. So that is one of the things that we are doing here, is a very advanced prompt engineering technique. We are making sure that the AI bot is able to understand the data, and then you can ask the questions. So what are the top, okay, what, let me ask a different question. What is the comparison between average sales value of vintage car versus classic cars in 2004? So it gives you that answer right there. It's lower than the average value of classic cars. So this is what the business is looking for, how fast you can generate these insights instead of somebody trying to run the query, then to bring the data either in a spreadsheet or go to a dashboard if you have this dashboard readily available, and then figure out and filter down the data. So it takes some amount of time. It basically takes out the time from the person who knows this data very well, who knows how to get this information. And instead of that, this is the easiest and the fastest way for anybody to get their answers. So, and every chat that you do is stored here. So everything, you can always go back and continue your chat. So I have these kind of questions where I'm like, what's the contribution of USA, France, and Spain in the same data set for classic cars, and it gives you the answer here similarly. So I can continue my discussion with this data, so the underlying data gets refreshed every day, and I can continue with my questions. We are also coming out with a feature where you can bookmark these questions, so kind of a favorite questions or top questions that you usually ask to your data set, and next time when you log in, these answers will automatically generate for you. So the background process, they will run these questions for you. As soon as you come to the bot and select the data set, it will list down all your favorite questions and your answers automatically for you. So that will be the added feature. By end of this year, we are going to release that so that you don't have to ask the same questions every time you come in. So this is one example of how it can really help both data analyst and business community. But we also have something called more advanced bot, which is more like machine learning bot. So on the same data set, now we can run machine learning algorithms or more sophisticated um, charting options. So one of the other things that we have done here is also different types of personas, or I would say that what is the function or the role that you, or who is asking the questions to the AI, right? So give a little bit more context of what kind of question they can expect, or what kind of question or insights you're trying to run on the data set. So when you look at the prompts here, if I select a persona called finance analyst, the kind of question, so we are pre-providing these kind of prompts to our users. These prompts can be configured by you as a customer or as an organization. You can configure additional prompts, you can modify them. So this is totally, and you can create more personas as well. So this is totally configurable part in our admin module, where admins and power users can go and configure a lot of these functionalities and predefine some of these prompts. So for example, if I'm asking as a supply chain analyst, let's say I have this prompt that do an ABC analysis, right? Or show me 80% of the sales value kind of. So if I can just run this prompt on this data, the AI model is going to take that prompt and understand what is the context of this question and who is asking this question, and it will create that ABC analysis for you. So again, idea is to help the business community, the help data analyst team or developers also, because when you're designing a dashboard, the key aspect is, okay, what kind of question the business is asking to the data, what kind of insights they are looking at. So when you now go and talk to a marketing analyst in your organization as a developer, you know that these are the kind of questions they typically have on the data. So you can run these questions and also see what kind of analysis that you can provide. So this really helps you as a developer to enhance your dashboarding capabilities, or what you will provide as an insight to your business users, right? So these are the examples in terms of how we can use it. I'm going to take another 5 minutes and briefly go upon some of the other capabilities we have, and then we will open up this session. So we have an advanced search capabilities where again, we can select the same data set, and as a user now or as a data analyst, you can start what is sales by deal size and product line, for example. So I can ask this question and it will basically generate that analysis. Not only it generates the analysis, it also shows you a tables, because one of the things that we all know in data world is looking at charts is always interesting and everybody wants to look at it, but business also loves tables, right? And pivot tables. So we kind of provide them that analysis at the same time, so they can look at these data visually as well as in a tabular format, and they can export this data out, or they can play around with this data if they want to. Or the idea is that I can add this data to my card, as I was sharing the first screen, where we can add to a card, or I can create a new card. So let me say I'm going to create a new card called webinar demo 1, and I'm going to say sales by deal size and product, and I'm going to save this. So this gets saved successfully into one of my cards that I just created, and I can go back to that card and I can use it, I can share it, I can embed it, and every time the data refresh will happen, that card will automatically get refreshed. So one of the key differentiation here is you as a user, your questions are going to be different every day. Your problem statements can change. So this search capability here that we are providing, it is more of an ad hoc. You keep on coming, you keep analyzing. You don't need to save anything if you, because if it's a one-time request or one-time analysis that you're doing, you can analyze the information here. You can add filters. So all the standard things that you typically see in the visualization tools, you have all those options here. And you can, for example, country, I can see the list of countries that I want to add. So filter, sorting, all those standard features are already available in this. But you don't really need to do save these unless you want to run these analysis every day or more frequently, right? Same way, we have more advanced ad hoc or capabilities, and let's look at the same database data set. And I'm going to select the same thing. So here I just need to select my dimensions and measures. I'm going to select order quantity. I'm going to select deal size, product line. What else I can select? I can select year, um, month. What else do I have? I have status. Okay, so I'm going to select few of these. So it immediately creates a heat map for you, and there are certain very advanced features in these heat map, and I'll show you some of them very quickly. So I'm going to now let me take out my year here. I want to see by year my deals, how they move, right? I'm going to take out the month for time being here. I just don't want to see it. And I have a status. I'm going to put that status, but I'm going to filter it only for what is shipped. So I'm going to remove everything else, and I'm going to look at only what is shipped. So this gives you a heat map of everything that was shipped by deal size and by year. So again, I can convert these heat map also into a horizontal bar chart or a vertical bar chart, a stack chart. So there are multiple ways which I can analyze this data. Let's go back to the heat map just to show you another example of what I'm going to do. So if you come to this second option here, we have provided some more advanced statistical and other measures. So you don't have to write expressions. So in Power BI or other tools that we use today, you will have to create these expressions or master measures with using scripts or DAX queries or whatever methodology that is out there. uh, in EzInsights, you are able to do a lot of these by just selecting and selecting your options. So I can say, okay, show me this as a fraction of total, for example. And I can see now my entire data set is 100% of my data and value is now I can see by percentage wise. Or I can say, show me by sum over sum. So for example, I want to look at my sales by quantity ordered. So right, what is my average sales? And I can look at now. So when you looked at something, classic cars sold in 2004, this was the highest value. But when I look at my average sales price, uh, this is where I shine the most in terms of trains and some of these. So it gives a very different perspective. And this is what business is looking for. This is what data analyst team looks for in terms of different insights, different ways of looking at data, and how quickly you can generate these insights. And once you generate these insights, you can again save these insights and share with other users who have access to this data. So idea again is to how quickly you can generate this and how easily you can collaborate and share these insights. Something similar, this is an advanced pivot functionality we have with a drill down capability. So I'm going to use the same data set just to demonstrate that one final point, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So I'm going to use the same sales, order quantity, deal size, product line, year, month, right? And I think I have territory. Yep. Alright, so I don't need deal size. Okay, let's just use, and I don't need, okay, let's keep the product line. So this is again a heat map, but it's a pivot as you can see here. And now I can do a little bit more advanced analysis using this feature that we provide. So I'm going to create, I'm going to actually put the month here. So I'm looking at by month 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically that's how I'm looking at it, my data set. And I'm going to right click on sales and say, show me the absolute variance or a percent variance. So there are different options that I'm looking at it. So what this option will do is it will take the first month or the first month as my base month. And now it is going to show me the variance for each of the months, whether it's a positive or a negative variance. So again, when we are looking at any other tool today, you will have to create these functionality by writing scripts, by writing formulas, even in Excel. And there are very handful of users usually who are able to do that, or you have to write queries in SQL databases or other databases that you use. But it's typically not easily available to the business users, right? So that's the key. Now, we also have some additional functionality here, which I wanted to show, and that is I can see the chart. So now I can see my waterfall kind of a chart where my positive values are and where my negative values are. So this is a very, very important way a business user looks at the data, or as a data analyst or as a developer, you want to understand what really this data is doing for you. But hold on, we can also drill down this. So the moment I drill down now, look at my values on the top. They are also going drill down in the chart. So this is an advanced pivot functionality that we provide out of the box, where not only you can do some of these cool stuff, but it's also easy to visualize how it is changing for business perspective or from data analyst perspective, so that you can provide these kind of valuable insights on your data to your executives and leadership. So I'm going to stop this webinar here. There are many more functionalities. If anybody is interested in signing up for a free trial, we have a free trial option or a demo, or we want to do one-on-one demo and get into the details of how all of these things work, or how the AI models are built or generated. I'll be happy to have my team work with you and look at the use cases that you may have, and then take it further from there. So let me go back and stop sharing my screen. And Prashant, if you want to open it up for Q&A, then we can take the questions one by one. So I have the first question here: which natural languages does EzInsights Text-to-SQL support for prompts? I'm assuming that this question relates to what different databases that we support for Text-to-SQL. So currently we are supporting majority of the databases that are out there in the market, whether they are cloud-based or on-prem. So SQL, Oracle, Azure SQL, Redshift, AWS Redshift, Google BigQuery, Databricks, Snowflake, Single Store, you name it. And even if we don't have specific databases, we can easily build a connector and add it to for Text-to-SQL. Hopefully that answers that question. If you want to add a new table, then how it will be work. So if you add a new table to a database and you want to retrain your model on that, typically we will add that information into the training, the data model. We are also releasing a new module where our customers can actually train or retrain the Text-to-SQL model. So there will be a UI module similar to what we have. So again, a no-code module where, as a customer, as a user, or as a data team, you will be able to create your own training plan to train the AI on your text to SQL model. You'll be able to test it out like any regular machine learning model. You'll be able to see the accuracy of that model, or how accurate it is. And once it reaches a certain level of accuracy, you can deploy it in production and you can monitor how accurate the model is working in production environment, and it will retrain. So and these are all good, very excellent question. But at this moment, our team can help you with retraining. Our team can help you building the initial table, but very soon within 2024, we will be allowing releasing that capabilities where you can actually do a lot of these things on your end as well as a customer. Databases does EzInsights text to SQL support? I think so. I answered that question. Any database which is SQL based or NoSQL based, we should be able to connect and do text to SQL. What technology is used to build this platform? We are predominantly using so the front end is using Angular. Angular is the front end, and then back end is a mashup of multiple tools, including Python, a lot of REST APIs, microservices. We are using very similar to what Microsoft Fiber is. We are using Parquet as our underlying data base, but we also connect directly to our live databases. So it's kind of a combination of both. So unlike Microsoft Fabric or what they are talking about, or Snowflake or AWS, you don't have to pull all your data into one place. Our platform will work wherever your data is, whether it's in file format, whether it's stored in Google Drive, S3 buckets, or it is stored in Azure environment, or it's on a local computer. It doesn't really matter where your data is. Our platform will be able to work independent of where the data is. How different is this from other Gen AI? This is different in one way. One is we have combined the power of basic data analysis, data analytics, data profiling, observability quality, data pipeline building, and also running direct queries or training the Gen AI on direct database schemas that you already have, instead of reinventing the wheel by pulling everything together in one place. And that's a very costly exercise for any company. And that's where we think we are different than other Gen AI companies. Um, are the charts stored by user ID, or they are shared and available to all users in the organization? Again, excellent question. Right now, they are stored by the user and they can see it, but we are also going to launch a feature where they can share some of these charts, or they can add these charts to their own, I would say, conversational card, and they can share that card with other users. And there are other features that I didn't go over, by like building a report using the existing cards or shared cards and sharing that. So that functionality already exists for the cards that we created or charts we created, but we are also going to add the conversational card functionality as we move forward based on how users want to use it. For DataBot, it is going to give me that updated result on the previous question, or I need to prompt the question again. It will give you, what I'm trying to understand here is probably you're looking at whether it maintains the session. So for example, what is my sales by product category? And then the next question is, how about product category A, for example. So you are trying to continue the conversation is what probably I understand from this question. In the current scenario, for the accuracy purpose, we are making sure that you will have to give the context again at this moment. Because when we tried different ways of continuing the conversation, after 8 or 9 questions, the language model LLMs forget the initial context. So we have seen that, and that's the reason why we are not really think it's ready for us to do this at this moment. So it will retain the history, but you will have to give the context again, if that's the short answer. If EzInsight interprets visual data like facial recognition or image analysis, so that's an excellent question. We do have a framework which will be a part of a next webinar. where we are going to talk about how EzInsights AI framework can work on unstructured data like PDF documents or transcripts or videos or images and can provide analysis on that. We already have accelerators for financial analysis and insights and various other things. And that will be part of our next webinar, but definitely we have that capability. Um, Products, data security, and privacy features. Again, excellent question. So there are two key premises on which EzInsights AI platform is built. One is the security. A lot is being said and talked about today, especially when it comes to AI, about security and transparency. So one of the key things that we are doing in EzInsights AI framework is uh, during the training process, we do send random data points to LLMs. So they understand the data and the context. But in the production environment, we don't send any data. So there is no production data that is being shared with LLM. That's one thing. But if you are choose to use an LLM, which is deployed on your own compute power, then we can open up that feature. So we have a feature where you can turn it off and turn it on. For all our production deployment, the feature is turned off. But we can configure that feature to turn it on if you decide to do that, especially when you're using a local LLM deployed on your own computer or your own cloud instance. So that's the first thing. So security is very important. The other thing that we have done also in terms of privacy, so role-based concern. So if you have access to certain data sets, if you have access to certain features of the LLM or the model, so we have a very exhaustive role-based security model. So you create a user based on the profile, assign the roles, assign what kind of access they have, and then what kind of features they can actually access as well. So there is a very extensive security module available to configure the access for users. Um, How much time can EzInsight save text to SQL? I think what our initial study and discussion with various customers and prospects suggests it will save at least 30 to 40% of the time. And it's not about just the time, it's about the knowledge enhancement it will do, because most of the users or even data analysts or IT members in the team, they do not know everything about every database or every table within the organization. And it's hard because it's complex. So this is going to really help not just the end users, but it is definitely going to help everybody within the IT organization or data analyst team. What enterprise solution does EzInsights offer? EzInsights or Easy Data Munch is a company. We are predominantly a data analyst and machine learning services consulting company. We do projects predominantly around deploying the data pipelines, bringing data, building data mass, data warehouses, cloud migration from database to on-prem to cloud uh, systems like Azure or AWS or GCP or Snowflake, single store. And we also help with business insights. So we have more than 200 predefined data models and dashboards that are across multiple industries and functions. So we can really accelerate a lot of the data journey and transformation journey for our customers. Is there any API available for EzInsights? So that's another thing that we are going to launch. Is we are going to open up our text to SQL capabilities as a free option in the near future. It won't be open source, but it will be available as an API or as a locally deployed module. So stay tuned for that. It will be there on our website once we launch it. Does EzInsight Text to SQL also debugs and optimizes a query? Of course it does. In fact, there is a lot that in the background that you don't see. We have optimized our functionality so that we are able to reduce the cost of LLM, because we are not using the latest language models. We are still able to use Turbo 3.5, which is the most cost-effective model out there. And also we are optimizing and testing the query. And that's one of the reason when I said that during the testing and training exercise, we do send some test data to make sure that LLM not only gets a context, but also we can test the output of the LLM in terms of the query and run the query. So there's a lot of optimization that happens within that query. Also, a lot of the databases nowadays, like Snowflake, Single Store, Azure, they have the query plan and explain. So there is a lot of that goes there. We also ensure if a user asks a question and that question runs into a query that is going to bring down your cloud instance or your database, or it's going to run for 4 or 5 hours. A lot of these things are controlled by the DBAs anyway, but we also ensure that that query is killed if the answer is not retrieved within a specific amount of time. So that's all part of the configuration and performance tuning that we have, but we can always enhance it as we see the issues there. Does your platform have capability of suggesting further steps for a business user, for example, to increase revenue, profit, and help with decision making, providing more than KPIs and charts within smart narratives itself? If not, are you planning to do so? So it's an excellent question. We do have certain capabilities where we are generating financial insight, as I said, from documents and things like that. So we do already have capabilities which we can expose out to do. Suggesting steps for business to increase revenue and profit, typically it's a very easy question to ask, and a lot of organizations say that yes, it can be done, but unless you really know the business, know the variables of how they're impacting your business, uh, it's not easy for any AI model to just go and suggest. But we do have a very strong machine learning model, like a recommendation model or sales forecasting models that we build for other customers, and we do provide that services or that kind of functionality, and we build a custom model if required and deploy it for them. Is the performance dependent on the data volume? Yes and no. If we are bringing the data within EzInsights, we have optimized the process, so you can even bring in millions of records into our platform, and it will still provide you sub-second query responses or AI responses. But we also have capability to directly connect to your database and run the questions or queries on your database directly. So then it will be dependent on how good your database is optimized and structured and designed. So that will be on the customer side, but we can help with both. For prompts, does it support only English language or it is multilingual? Right now, it is English only, but the underlying model does support multilingual capabilities. As of now, we are not opening up for multilingual. Is this connected DB through APIs? Yes, it is connected to DB by API. So every call we make is an API call, but it is not connected all the time, if that's the question. Do you support unstructured data sets? Yes, as I said, we have a separate accelerator framework for unstructured data, and we'll be happy to do that as part of the next demo and webinar where we show the capabilities of our unstructured AI accelerator. How secured is my database connecting to EzInsights? So security is always picky. They always, and we understand that we work with some of the largest Fortune 1000 companies in the world. We work with the security team. We have extensive security documentation and policies and guidelines. And as I said, that our platform has all the different types of security and role-based security access that we provide. And also we work using API interface and secured protocols. So any connection that we make to the database is always secured. How much volume data can be fetched to create a chart or a table? So we can work with millions and billions of records if we are doing a direct query in your database. So we have customers where they have 100 million records in their table, and we are able to generate charts. So we don't see any problem with data volume as such. But if you're ingesting files within our framework, there's a limit of 2 GB per file. So as long as your file is within that limit, it will work. Now, it doesn't matter how many transaction data you have. What are the real life use cases of these Insights AI framework? We are working with customers in insurance. We are working with customers in media and entertainment. We are working with customers in healthcare, retail, supply chain, banking. We are working with customers all across the board. So I think there are multiple use cases across finance, sales, inventory optimization, again, supply chain route optimization, and various other areas. So there are multiple use cases. As I said, we have close to 200 models and dashboards that we have designed and are available to our customers for accelerating their data journey. Yeah, this video will be available on our website, also will be available on our YouTube channel, and all the registered participants. So all of you will have access to this video and the content. So definitely we'll make sure that all of you have. Um, I think I don't have any more questions here. So again, thank you everybody. Appreciate joining and asking excellent questions and helping us to know our platform and the feedback that we got. And look out for more webinars and more videos and more LinkedIn posts from our side. And subscribe to our YouTube channel and see a lot of other features, cool features that we are releasing, especially on unstructured data and vision models that we are working on right now. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And thank you so much.